2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Battery's dead.
Battery's dead. So what do we have to do to it? Charge it. Absolutely. So what do? We have a phone charger at our office. We have a phone charger in our car. We probably have one in our bag, just in case we end up somewhere where our phone is dead and we have to charge our phone, right? So why is it that we can do that with our phone? How many of us recharge ourselves? How many of you really take time to recharge and to fill yourself up? For those of you who are raising your hand, that is awesome. I want to tell you guys what I do, and I want to tell you what I encourage you guys to do. It is absolutely crucial to recharge. Who out there deserves your loyalty and your commitment more than anybody? Yourself. Yet we neglect ourselves and our family, and we neglect ourselves and our family more than anybody. So here's the deal. I strongly encourage you guys to find your way to recharge. I will tell you what I do. I'm a runner. Some of you may go, I hate running. If you hate running, then guess what? Don't run. This is what I do. I love to run. And I love to run because it's my therapy. It's my me time. I'm very protective of it. When I don't get to run, I become mean. I can't think clearly. I can't function properly because I don't have my time to recharge. Now, I don't know, I may not be as busy as you guys, but I tend to have a pretty busy schedule, right? So you know when I run, I get up between 5 and 5:30 every morning. Today, not every morning, the mornings that I run, I do it every other day. Today, I knew I had to be here early. I got up at 4:30 this morning, and I did my run. Now, I tell you that because it is that crucial that I have my recharge time. That's my therapy, that's when I think. When I come home and tell my husband or come into the office and tell the team, I had a great run this morning, they're going, oh God, what's she gonna start us doing now? You know, that is so crucial to be able to do that. So what I really want to encourage you guys is find what it is that really fills you up and recharges you, whether it's running. If you got bad knees, okay, then walk. If you got really bad knees, okay, do water exercise. If you don't like to do that, you want to read. Find what your passion is and do it. Nobody deserves it more than you and your family. Because when you're recharged like that, you're a better, let me say for me, when I'm recharged like that, I'm a better mom, I'm a better wife, I'm a better real estate agent, I'm a better leader.
Let's just real quickly, that's a great explanation with the battery, good analogy there. How does life look for you today in terms of the team? You know, we've worked together for a number of years here, and this year it's really, you know, I've seen a big difference. So the first thing you talked about there was recharging personally.
Right.
But then there's also the family. So what does your life look like over the last, 3, 4, 5 months here?
Yeah.
In terms of things getting done and you having some free time?
Yeah. Remember how I told you guys a couple of years ago that I had mastered imbalance? Right. How many of you guys go, gosh, I wish I could spend more time with my kids. Gosh, I wish I could go on a vacation. Gosh, I wish I could go for an hour dinner with my husband. Absolutely. Right. I had gotten to the point, here's the deal. When opportunity presents itself, it's too late to start preparing for it. And I had this aha about 1.5 years ago. There was an opportunity that I wasn't able to take advantage of because I didn't have my stuff in order. So what I did is I decided to change the way that I looked at things and the way that my mind worked, and I really started to get my team in a better situation. I did that by being very clear and specific with roles and responsibilities. Increased accountability, which accountability is just awareness. Accountability is not a scary word. It's not, how do I do this? It's awareness. That's what it is. Increasing accountability. And because of that, that made the machine run much, much more smoothly. The reason I did that, guys, is because, and what that looks like now is I have had more time in the last 3 to 4 to 5 months than I've had in the last 11 years for the other things, okay? Let me tell you what that looks like and why it's been so important to me. So, just recently I was at the Lake of the Ozarks for a week, and we sold 3 houses while I was there, and my phone hardly rang. A couple months, in the last couple months before that, there were a couple of times where I was there for 3 days. My husband's like, your phone is not ringing anymore. What is going on? I have talented people that I'm in business with that are taking care of it. Now, those trips are things that I chose. Okay, I chose to go on those. Sometimes life happens and we don't necessarily have a choice. And this is where it becomes really important in my mind. I'm going to share a little story with you guys. About 3.5 months ago, one of my best friends was unexpectedly killed. 41 years old. She left behind a husband and 4 girls between the ages of 5 and 12. It was the saddest thing I've ever experienced. And as I'm sure you can imagine, the family completely shut down. They could not function. It was horrible, horrible. And so when that time happened, I'm very, very close with them. My team, who was so amazing, said, Dawn, we gotta go. And I literally stepped away from my business for a week. I planned her funeral, I planned her burial, I planned her autopsy, I planned the celebration of her life afterwards. I spent that week helping a family who was just in a dire situation. And that week that I was gone, my team sold about $40,000 in GCI and listed 2 houses. And I had a couple of times I communicated with a couple of them, and that was it. So do you see the importance of things being set up? Because you never know when life is going to happen. Some of it we choose, some of it we don't. So it's about having options.
So let's say over the last 3 or 4 months, you've been able to take more time away from work.
Yes.
Now, one would think, geez, production probably has dropped off. So let's just go back this most recent month. June, what did you do in production?
In June,
you want to say you, the team.
The team.
Make sure you give the team credit for sure. What did the team do?
$6.3 million for about $195,000 in GCI.
Now, that was all year to date, right?
That was just for June.
30-day time frame.
Wow.
And
Yep.
you took some time off then as well, in terms of the lake, right? So
Yeah.
that was this last month.
Right.
What about the one before that?
I went to the lake a couple of times for 3 days at a time.
What was production?
We did $3.2 million that month, I think.
So let me, do you guys get this? She's spending less time on the business and producing more. Is that counterintuitive or what? She's doing less and making more. Now, why do you think that is?
The reason that is, you guys, is because I have an incredible team with whom I'm in business. I have very, very talented people that are working for my team. And I'll tell you, when I have these conversations with people, because I do one-on-ones and have meetings with people who are feeling stuck or want to grow, whatever the case may be, and they say, I don't know where to find the talent. How do you find those people? And I'll tell you, there is an amazing process called Recruit Select. And the Recruit Select process has absolutely changed my life. I mean, you guys have now heard the story of what life was like, mastered imbalance, and now what life is like today. So Recruit Select is basically a process of finding world-class talent and making sure that they are in the right position on the team. Building positions on the team around that person's talent. And when you do that, it's limitless.
Say that last part again. Building positions on the team, taking someone, building around their talent. Talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. So Patty, I think you had talked about Terry, how we got into business together. So I knew Terry from well, he was in the mortgage world for 20 years, got into real estate, and then his wife got sick, and so we went back into the mortgage world. Because I had known him in real estate, before he went back to mortgage, he called me and said, Dawn, I really respect the way that you do your business. I'd like to have you take over the business that I'm doing. So I could see from that year that he was doing that, he was sending me leads. I could see from what these people were saying, what kind of talent he had. I already knew him. And then he called me in December. And he said to me, he said, hey, I'm looking to partner up with a couple of real estate agents and do some internet marketing lead generation for them that we will then refer the business back to one another. And every conversation that he had, every part of the conversation was all about entrepreneurial growth. It was never about where's my next paycheck going to be. And about 6 months before this, I had said, I want to get to the position where I don't have to be in my business all the time. Right? So I knew I was looking for somebody who was doing pieces of what I was doing and who understood growth, etc. So I had a vision of what I was looking for. So when that conversation happened, I went ding, ding, ding. That sounds like what I'm looking for. So I said, sure, Terry, I'll get together and hear your spiel. So then we proceeded to he gave me what he was looking for, and I said, have you ever thought about, started talking to him about what I was looking for. And this position that he has on my team did not exist whatsoever. So we knew that there was going to be a match there. We spent a month creating what that was going to look like, and he has moved over back into the real estate world on my team. And I just told you guys the last couple of months of what our business has been, and I attribute a big part of that to what Terry has brought to the team, and then what my team has done with those opportunities.
So let's do this. You've been hiring people for a while, and I know because I've been working with you, it didn't just necessarily happen and you fell into it. You know?
Right.
because it's all about a fit for a given role. Not about good or bad for any business, it's about a fit for the role. And I know I'm just trying to be real people. Some times last year you struggled a little bit with some of the hires and things like that. There was some frustration.
Right.
In other words, you didn't just, again, I hope you see a pattern here. I mean, she starts out her first year and, she's nursing twins, she's not sleeping and just getting it done. I mean, she just gets it done at all costs. So you're frustrated, you're not finding the people or the right fits. And, I know there's some frustration there, but you stuck with it.
Right.
And now that you've found the right people that are the right fit, so we talked about creating roles around talented people.
Right.
So they're in their sweet spot, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's gone from going real well to you're getting exponential at your growth now. And it's as a result of getting in business with super talented people.
Right.
So talk about that a little bit, just what you're looking at there, the process, the whole deal.
Here's the deal, guys. Always be, I'm a big believer in goals. I think you have to have goals, because if you don't, you start with the end in mind and you work backwards from there. If I never know where it is I want to be, how am I going to know what roadmap to take to get to it, right? So start with goals in mind and then work backwards from there. So, and always keep your eyes and ears open for what you're looking for. Okay, so we had a very talented person, Miss Sherry, who who started to talk with Matt about coming to our office. And when Sherry first started, actually, Sherry, why don't you come up here and let me ask, I'll let you tell them how that all came about. Amanda, would you take over the? All right, this is Sherry Wolf, my listening specialist. I'll be gentle. Okay, so Sherry, when you started talking with Matt, what did you think you were having those conversations about?
Coming over to Keller Williams in Chesterfield and possibly, move my real estate license there.
And did you plan on being a listing specialist on my team when you came over?
No.
Okay. Had that even crossed your mind when you came over?
I didn't even know what the hell it was.
There you go. There you go. So she first meets with Matt. Matt recognizes when he's meeting with Sherry and says, "Hey Dawn, this girl's got some talent. I think you need to talk to her." Matt, I don't really have a position. I don't know. I don't really need that on my team. He's like, "Matt, seriously, Dawn, you need to talk with her." So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I could use another buyer's agent, right? So Sherry and I meet, we sit down. First thing we started talking about was
Buyer's agent.
being a buyer's agent, right? So then I took her through this recruit select process, which was that like a one meeting, 1 hour at a time?
Oh God, no. It was like 4 meetings, I think, total. And every time I leave, I didn't know if I was there, if I wasn't there, if I was going to be there. I didn't know. I had no idea.
It was a process.
Right.
It was an absolute process
It was
that I took her
positive.
through.
I just didn't know when I left what I was doing.
And what this process was is I was learning about Sherry. I was learning what her talents are. I was learning what her skill set was. And so by the end of taking her through this process, she thinks that she's there to talk to me about being a buyer's agent. I thought she was there. I thought I had her there to talk about being a buyer's agent, and realized after going through this process, she's not a buyer's agent, she's a listing specialist. I guess I could use that on my team. So then we started going down that road of listing specialist, and what did I say when I said, what do you think about a listing specialist?
I don't know what that is. I didn't know. So I said, well, what does that look like? I don't know.
So then I started telling her about what the features were, what the rules and responsibilities were of that job, and she goes, ooh, I could do that. She actually said, I'm not afraid of a challenge.
No, it was fine.
Absolutely. And how has it been for you since you've been a listing specialist on the team? How did that work out for you?
It's been great. I mean, I've been able to use a lot of my organizational skills that I do. I'm very meticulous, and I've been able to develop systems with her team that she needed desperately. And
remember, there are people, guys, us ego agents, there are people who can do it better than us.
I walked in, there was just a mountain. So I was really happy I was able to put that into perspective, get her taken care of where I felt like I was actually contributing. And I took a lot of pride in that, and I still do. So we've been able to keep it moving, and I just ask for more and more and more and more.
Yep, absolutely. Do you hear that, you guys? She works for me, and what is she doing with her workload? Asking for more. Asking for more, which is awesome. Why do you do that? Why do you want to take on more?
I don't know. I work a lot, but I enjoy it. So when I'm fulfilled, it feeds me. So I want to do more. I want to be better, and I want to be at the top of my game as well.
Excellent. Thanks, Sherry.
Wow.
Thank you.
Question. Jack, any questions?
Yeah, how was your business prior to
joining their team?
Had actually hit a ceiling myself. I couldn't figure out what I needed to do next. So it was one of those things where I kept doing something. I wasn't changing what was going on. So I had to make a drastic change for me, and that was very beneficial for me. So it was just acknowledging that I need to look in myself. I was missing something myself. And so I took that next step, and it really did. The whole team benefited from it, but I benefited from it as well.
I want to make sure, guys, that we only have about 15 minutes left. I want to be very respectful of your time, so I want to make sure that we get an opportunity for some questions. If we hit 12 o'clock and you guys still have questions, then I'm more than happy to hang afterwards as well. You can also email me with additional questions that you have too.
One of the things you talked about is you got job descriptions for each role in your team, right?
Yes.
Would that be helpful for you guys to be able to get, copies of those or access to that
Yes.
information, what those job descriptions are and what have you?
Because without job descriptions, how do you hold your team members accountable?
Right.
If you're not super specific and super clear on what your expectations are, how do you hold them accountable? And the other piece of it is,
How can they get those?
if you guys, if there's any job descriptions that you're looking for, just email me. My email address is dawn@thecroussteam.com.
By the way, if you're an individual agent and you go out on a team, they're kind of helpful because it tells you what you should be doing. Like as a buyer's agent, this tells you what you should be doing. So don't think just because I'm not a team or aspire to be a team that these wouldn't be useful for you, because it kind of outlines in very succinct fashion what the high priority tasks are for given roles, right?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay.
What does it look like when you go to fire them? Oh, I'm sorry, when you tell them it's not working after 90 days?
Okay, so in case I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this or not, but just sometimes emotions tend to get a little bit high in our job. Emotions can get in the way. So there's two ways to make decisions. There's evidence and there's emotion. Having these roles and responsibilities very clearly defined and outlined, and we do that when we start the 90-day opportunity with one another. We specifically outline what those expectations are and the standards that have to be hit in order to be a part of the team, etc. So those first 90 days, I can't just say, okay, great, we have clear expectations, go do it. I need to make sure that I'm doing my due diligence in training that person on how I want things done. I mean, Sherry had years of experience in the real estate world. She didn't do things the way that we do them on the Kraus team. She didn't know. Now, again, there's always an opportunity to tweak the systems, which Sherry has absolutely done. But I had to train her on how I do things. When Amanda came to my team, when Amanda and I started talking, I didn't even have a position at all for her. But I went, wow, this girl is talented. And we started talking. And
You see a pattern? When talent shows up, you find a spot.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Good point, yes.
So we have very clear roles and responsibilities, the expectations. So then if the time comes, and again, then I have to take ownership and I have to train them. If I don't train them on how I want things to be done, how can I expect them to hit those standards? I can't, right? So I have to train them and then come to our 90-day time frame. If I can tell that that person is talented, then we talk about what areas do I need to give you additional training to help you be able to do your job better. If I go, man, I got to cut my losses, I have clear standards that have been set on what they need to do to meet the expectations, and if they haven't met them, then it becomes an evidence-based decision. So the emotion gets taken out of it. Because we all have, if the relationship needs to be severed, obviously there will possibly be some negative repercussions from that. But when we signed this 90-day trial opportunity, they saw what the expectations were. If they didn't hit them, that's from choices that they made.
Right.
So it takes them from villainizing me to taking ownership. Hey, there's decisions that you made in this.
So they kind of realize it before you ever have that your fire
I'm
conversation.
not saying that they love it; they still love the outcome of it, but
Right.
it becomes very very clear, evidence based.
When you say you have someone handle contract close, do they negotiate the building inspection?
Absolutely, I hate building inspections.
Isn't that rather difficult when you're the person who negotiated the contract and has the rapport with the client?
No.
To throw someone else in the mix?
It's a great question because remember, I'm introducing, Sherry does my contract to close and negotiates my building inspections. I'm introducing her into the fold the first time that I'm sitting down with them. So I let them know right up front that I do this and this. Then once we go under contract, Sherry's gonna take over. She's an expert in the details, da-da-da-da-da-da. So I have sold her right up front. So when that time comes, like, oh, and you know, congratulations, here's the final contract. I've CC'd Sherry, my listing specialist, on it. As we talked about, she's gonna take you from contract to close. Now here's the deal, Vicki. If Sherry was not very good at what she does, this would not work out well. Okay? I have to have, that's about finding the talent and getting them in the right role. And so, this is kind of funny. Amanda said something to me. Here's the deal, guys. A lot of us have trouble relinquishing control because we haven't found somebody yet who we can totally trust to do the job as well as us. Okay? So when you find that person, and of course you don't just walk in, hire them next day, they have to prove that they can do it, right? So when Sherry came in, she started doing it. She was a sponge. She wanted me to coach her. She wanted to learn. She was doing things at a really, really high level. I felt more comfortable to relinquish to her. When it came time for the listings, I mean, I don't have to do all of the this, and this anymore because Amanda has proven to me that she is very, very good at it. Because of that, I can relinquish.
There's a system for the relinquishing, like you're talking about, you know, growth control graph, won't worry with those details, but everything she's talking about, there's a system for doing that.
And I could really
just use follow.
And I could really tell it was happening. And Amanda kind of called me out on it about a month ago or so. She goes, I was giving them kudos one day about, you guys are doing so awesome. I'm so happy to be in business with you. Amanda goes, I can tell you're happy. I'm getting less emails from you at 3 in the morning. Right, because my mind doesn't have to go, did it get done? I didn't do it. So did it get done? Was it good? Right, because they've earned my trust. And I know that they're doing it, and they're doing it a great job at it.
I want to make one point. I want to ask you one question, and we'll open up the last few minutes. When you get into business with talented people, your life will change exponentially. And that's what we're seeing with Dawn. And I've seen a lot of other individuals. When you get in relationship with a talented person, the right fit for the right role, your life will change forever in the most positive way you can imagine. And that's what we're seeing here. And you can tell she's beaming, she's excited, as opposed to, you know, a little while back, just stress and things like that. So that's awesome. Now, always want to make sure that people have nuggets and things to walk away with, implement that type of stuff. If we touch real quickly, we've kind of hopped around the training. What would you say, just down and dirty, real quick, what are the things that have really helped you out in terms of training, things you would recommend people go to? And then after that, we'll open up to questions, and at noon, we're going to cut you loose, and again, I'm sure Dawn will stay afterwards for questions beyond that. So training, what do you recommend?
I do a ton of training, guys. We talked about this earlier, especially the last 3 years. I am training constantly. Even if it's something that I think that I know pretty well, I still go to it, because anytime that you're going to training, you're always at a different place in your life, in your business, different stuff going on. So just because you go to something one time, don't let that stop you from going again. The biggest things are, what are your goals? What are you looking for in your business? A biggie for me, every year I go to Mega Camp, which is in Austin, Texas, and I go to Family Reunion. Those are 2 big conventions. Those pump me up like you cannot believe. It is the best of the best of the best. Some are within our company, some are outside of our company. It's the best of the best that are up there telling all their secret, basically pulling back their own curtains, right? Coming from abundance, telling what they do to have high success. So I go to those every year. So that's Mega Camp, which is actually coming up here real shortly, and I will absolutely be there, and I'm actually encouraging my team members to come as well. I also do a lot of local training. I do a lot of leadership training, and I do a lot of leadership training. Because again, even if you don't have a team, are you guys leaders in other parts of your life besides just your real estate? What other areas might you be a leader in?
Family.
Family, absolutely. Peer groups, family, whether it's your real estate business. I'm sorry? Church, absolutely. There's so many different opportunities to be a leader. So I am a huge advocate of leadership training as well, because that's about your mindset.
Questions?
When you go to these, when you go to the Mega Camp and whatever, and you want your team to go with you, who's finding the baby?
The business?
Yeah.
So the whole team doesn't go every time, right? So we'll kind of take some turns, do some rotations there. Of course, I'm there every time, but then the team members will kind of do rotations. And then what we do is we don't just go, oh, I went and got all this great information, I'm going to keep it to myself. We come back and we share it. We share it within the team, we share it within the market center, because all this information just stuck in one of our brains doesn't do anybody a lot of good. If we can share it, mastermind with it, the implementation likelihood is a lot higher.
One of your team members has a question right from.
Well, it's actually more of a statement. When you guys were talking about how we have maybe made your life a little simpler and given more back to you. I feel as your assistant, I've actually got a lot from you as well. If you can remember when I met you, I had worked in residential leasing for 8 years.
Right.
And I actually told you I felt like I'd never had a career. And I'd done the same thing for 8 years straight.
Right.
And I remember you were like, really? That's so interesting. And the reason why I felt that way is because I never grew. In 8 years, I never grew. I never had any training opportunities, coaching, or anything. And one of the best questions Dawn ever asked me, and if any of you have assistants or you are assistants, she asked me, are you open to coaching? And I said, absolutely. Be open-minded, be willing to take that coaching in, be willing to ask questions. There's no stupid questions. I have grown so much in the last few months than I have in 8 years doing the same thing.
And did I just start telling you stuff, or did I just start saying, hey, Amanda, da 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 da?
No, not at all. She actually asked me for the opportunity to teach me something.
I asked permission. Is it okay if I coach you? Is it okay if when we're doing this, I give you some nuggets on what we can do to make it? Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Does anybody else have any other questions?
I'm gonna go back to the listing presentation. Like, how do you, you said you charge a $399 transaction fee. How do you bring that about?
How do I validate the transaction fee?
On the buyer
The
side?
compensation.
The additional compensation that we do on there? I tell them, again, it's about value prop. And when it's on the listing side, I've done my listing presentation first. When it's on the buyer side, we do the buyer consultation first. We show the value first, and then when we're doing the paperwork, it's, here's the commission, this is a $399 additional compensation. I use this, this goes to cover the contract to close, and nothing's paid up front, it's paid at the closing table. Oftentimes we just roll it into your closing costs. Move right on.
Let's say cover the rest after class would be good. Next question.
Yeah.
Renee.
You said there's a lot of pieces coming out of your pie, so I'm gonna get real personal. So if you're at GCI, your total sales are gonna be, would you say over 30 million this year?
Mhm.
So, and you're, if you're averaging whatever, 3.5% per transaction, what percentage are you keeping versus paying your team?
So if we look at the model, the millionaire real estate model, when we get to about, with our average numbers, about 33 to 35 million in production, that's when we should be, in theory, hitting the $1 million GCI level. The model says that, and the book was written 10 years ago, so there was a lot more print marketing that was happening then, but the model says that at that point, we should be bringing about 40% netting. I'm sorry?
To the bottom line.
Right.
Net. So what did you do last year in GCI?
740.
740,000, $750,000. What are you looking at this year?
Oh, well, we're gonna break 30, so, my intention is to do $1 million in GCI.
There's a good chance you'll do $1 million, 7 figures in GCI. How about that?
All right. You're right about me, Matt, so I wanna make sure we.
Yeah. Hey, appreciate your time, guys. We're gonna make sure we give a shout out to Tony with Paramount coming up, and also Jill and Title Partners. I'll just give a shameless plug. Both Title Partners and Paramount did a great job putting this on, and I would highly recommend you check them out. They are great.
If anybody has any additional questions, I'm gonna hang for a little while. You can always feel free to email me with additional information that you're looking for as well. And again, I'm humbled by you guys all taking your morning to come and
Great
visit.
questions. You did great. It was
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you.